Good morning. In this video, I am going to chat to you about what I got up to yesterday and how I documented that in my daily sketch journal, and how super simple it is, and how even with a really busy, chaotic life, you too can just sketch something from your day and make that part of your daily ritual. If you're liking these videos, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button. I think there's a bell which you can click and you will get updates from me when I upload a new video. I hope you enjoy. Thank you. So this morning I wanted to talk to you about yesterday. It was Friday and it was what was going to be nothing actually on, ended up having quite a few things on. So Thursday morning I took my boys to have their haircuts after school, and my hairdresser was in and I'd kept meaning to book an appointment, so I was like, okay, while she's here, I'm going to put that in. So she was like, actually, I've got an appointment tomorrow at 11 o'clock, can you come in? I was like, yeah, brilliant. Then I went on to on the Friday morning, I'd gone on to my youngest boy's Stan's school app where all the communication comes in and out, and I'd completely missed a message from them a couple of days before to say he was getting a lovely learner. And a lovely learner is what they give 3 people each week from their class who's been good or done well, or whatever. So you're invited as a parent to go along and watch them receive that in an assembly, which is lovely, and it's a surprise for them. So they don't know until you walk in that morning and they're all sat ready for their assembly, and they're like, oh, there must be a lovely learner. So and you imagine if I'd missed that would have been horrendous. So thank God. So I saw that. So that was going to be, that's 9:15. So drop them off, wait half an hour, go back in to watch that, which was lovely. And then I had about an hour to kill before my hair appointment, which is in the same town as their school and about 10 minutes away from our house. But I thought, the trouble is, as a mum, you're back, forth, literally driving around. So I did something that I never normally do, and that is to go and have a coffee in the little local coffee shop called the Dairy in Chumley. Lovely little place. But it's small. It's very small. There's only a few tables in there, and I thought, oh God, if it's busy, I'm just going to pretend to have a look around, because they sell lots of lovely bits in there as well. I'll just have a little look around, and then I'll go and sit in my car literally for an hour until my hair appointment. But I went in. There was a couple of people sat on 2 of the tables. There was a table spare, but, it's literally right next to them. And I just felt so awkward, like I'm just not used to, I'm just not very good at doing this sort of thing. And normally I always feel, obliged to be back home, to be getting on with some chores or work or something. So it felt a real treat, although it was a bit overwhelming, to do that for myself. So I, found this table, sat down, all a bit awkwardly, and I'd brought my Kindle along. I hadn't brought my sketchbook because I just thought I'm just not brave enough to do that. There's no way I can do that in such a small environment. I really should just do that, but maybe just by going along every now and then into this coffee shop, I'll get more familiar with it, I'll get more used to it, and I will start to do that. But yesterday I just didn't have the confidence to do that. So I was really glad I'd taken my Kindle though, because there was no, you kind of lose all Wi-Fi and 4G in there. So I just would have sat there a bit awkwardly looking at my phone, not really looking at much because there was nothing to load. So I got my Kindle out, ordered a cappuccino, and then just had this moment where I was like, oh God, I'm taking up a table and I'm just having a cappuccino. Why do we think like this? Why do we have that guilt? It's ridiculous. So sat and had my coffee, and it was really busy, people coming in and out, ordering coffees to go and bits and pieces. And I mean, when I take it is a tiny area. but everyone was really friendly, and I was like, oh, just get over yourself, Nikki. Nobody's even looking at you. So got my Kindle out, and then I don't know whether you have this, but you're sat there sort of trying to concentrate on reading or doing something else, and you can't help but eavesdrop, not earwig, onto other conversations. So I've got my Kindle, and I'm like, well, all I'm doing is sort of listening into a conversation next to me, which was fun. And I had sat there thinking I should have just bought my little sketchbook and pen, and they would have just thought I was writing probably. So then I'd finished my cappuccino, or was finishing it. I still had about 20 minutes left, so I thought, oh, I'll just have another cappuccino and a brownie, because it was like getting to like 11 o'clock, and then I thought I'll be in the hairdresser's for a couple of hours, so that would be my lunch, really healthy. So I had that. So this brownie came out, it was like that big, and yeah, I was struggling with a cappuccino because, you know, it's quite strong, and then this major sugar hit, and I was like, oh god, I feel a bit hot and ill now. So all in all, quite a nice morning in there, but also not without some anxiety. Crazy, I know. So then I went to the hairdressers and had my hair done, and I've got it down, which I never normally have down, but I'm really going to try and just have it down more often. And so did that, then went home, walked the dogs, and then I was going back to Stan's school, because he then had this Christmas fair in the afternoon that they host, like the PTA, Parents Teachers Association, or whatever it's called, where it's tombola, and it's guess the weight of the cake, and there's cakes to buy, and there's all just stuff to raise money for the school, basically. So did that. So all in all, it was quite a busy day, but nice and different to what I would normally be doing. And so then, of course, I had all these, like, well, what do I sketch? Do I sketch, Lovely Learner thing, the assembly? Do I sketch the dairy? Do I sketch the haircut? Do I sketch the Christmas fair? But this is where I wanted to just touch base with you about this, because I've spoken in a previous video about my technique of basically just picking one thing from my day to sketch. And it's the same principle whether it's really busy or really quiet day. Like if you're struggling to think, I'm so uninspired with today, what the hell do I draw? You could literally just draw a bird that you spotted in the garden, or a flower that is blooming, or your coffee cup, or your laptop if you've been doing work, or your dog that you've taken for a walk, or your walking boots, or your anything really, just one thing from your day. And the same principle happens when you've got lots and lots of things going on. It can then be overwhelming, because you think, oh my goodness, I've had such a busy day. How do I possibly put all that into one day and sketch when you haven't got time? Or all those things. So you just pick one thing again. And for me, what I felt, I have my hair cut every few months. Lovely Learner obviously doesn't happen all the time, but I didn't really want to sit and draw a whole school assembly, and I hadn't taken a photo, because you're not allowed to take photos in there, obviously. So I was like, but actually the biggest thing that day for me was to go into a cafe and sit on my own and just have a coffee and just try and relax a bit. So that for me was really what stood out from that day. And so I just sketched that. I took a photo when I was in there. And again, because I'm trying to build my YouTube channel, I'm thinking, I should have done some footage of, the whole thing. But there was no way I felt comfortable doing that. So I haven't got any B-roll. But I did take a photo of my day, of my table. And then I went home, and I felt like that deserved quite a big sketch, because it's quite a big thing in my life. So rather than just doing a half a page, which I've been doing on my Pith, in my Pith sketchbook, because it's bigger than my smaller sketchbook. So this is my Pith sketchbook, and this was the one I was using every day before that, so it's like half the size. But I will show you some of my daily sketches in there, of how I've overcome dealing with a bigger page. But for yesterday, I thought I'd just mix it up a bit, so I did a whole page, which was enjoyable. And I think, having used this Pith for several days now, or a week maybe, I've realised that it gives me more options and a little bit more freedom to experiment or to add different things, make things bigger, but also I've realised not to be scared of like the blank page, and just leave spaces, because why not? So yeah, let's have a little flip through of the last few days I've done in my Pith, and I'll show you the sketch of my visit to the coffee shop, and yeah, we'll go from there. This is the original daily sketch journal that I was using, that I have done a previous video on, if you want to have a look at that, where I have a bit of a flip through of it. But basically, as you can see, it's really small, and I stick to kind of one thing from my day and just draw that, without getting overwhelmed with everything that's gone on in the day. If you can hear noises in the background, I'm sorry about that. My husband is working on our new bathroom. So that was my one that I was using since September, and then I finished that one, and then I was like, oh god, I haven't actually got another one lined up. So I had a rummage around my desk and found my Pith sketchbook, which I was super excited about getting a while ago, because people rave about these, and one of the things they love is that it lies flat, which I get, you know, lovely and flat, and really fab if you're an artist who scans their work in and stuff, or likes to draw across the page, because there's none of that bending. So that's great. But what I really struggled with in this sketchbook was when I used fountain pens or parallel pens. They bleed. I had kind of given up on it, and I'd done quite a few bits and pieces in it, and was just going to treat it as a bit of a daily sketchbook, but I was finding it limiting because of my love of fountain pens. But I did realise for my daily sketch journal, I don't actually use fountain pens. I use my Unipin pens and very light washers, watercolour washers. So I thought, actually, let's dig it out and give it a go. I don't like wasting sketchbooks, especially when they're not cheap. So this was the start of my daily sketch journaling in this Pith, and as you can see, it does lie really lovely and flat. And this was started on the 28th of November, and what I did, because it's pretty much double the size of this, I just thought, well, I'll just frame each day. So I drew in this frame fairly evenly, just by hand, you know, don't worry about rulers or anything, God. And then just drew from my day. But then I thought, well, actually, this frame can be a little bit restrictive. Maybe I don't want to do it in the frame all the time. And actually, in this sketchbook, what I found I started to do quite a bit is frame after I'd sketched something. So I would do all this, and then I'd add in these little frames around it, broken frames, which was quite cool. So these are two really good examples of that. So that's what I thought I'd do here. I'd leave the page blank, sketch my day and then frame around it. So that's what I did with those two. And that's what I've started to do with these. So that is how I've been enjoying it. This is the last, getting a bit Christmassy here. And then, you know, like I said, sometimes I don't put a lot in at all. I mean, Storm Dara Day, we just sat in around the house most of the day because it was blowing a hoolie outside. And there was chaos everywhere. Fortunately, not on our farm, so that was good. But yeah, just little snippets of your day is all you need to do. And then, so this was an example of where I had a bit of an idea with stamps. I was doing a lot of paperwork and paying bills. I thought, oh, I'll do some stamping, and it didn't really work out how I envisaged, but it's fine, it's just one day. And then we finished watching Black Doves, which I loved, so I thought I'd put that deserved to be put in. This I went quite small on, and I've left some gaps around there, but that's fine. I quite like it anyway. And then this was the day yesterday where I went to the dairy and sat on my own and had a coffee and a brownie. So I did my Kindle, coffee, brownie table, and I felt that that was the first time I'd done a whole page as my daily sketch journal, but I quite like that. And I think moving forward I will mix up the sizes of my day, definitely, and this size book will give me that opportunity to do that, whereas this one doesn't as much. You can do a double page spread, but I did that only a couple of times and it was still across for one day. But what I do really love about this one is that it builds up, you know, you can get 4 days on there, and that's quite nice as little double page spreads. So I'm liking that. So I didn't, like I said, I didn't sketch in the dairy, in the coffee shop. That would have been way too intimidating. So I just took a photo of that. And then when I came home and I had a bit of time between chores, I just sketched that from the photo. And that's my day. So that's my sketch journal for yesterday. Super pleased with myself for actually going into a coffee shop on my own and having a drink and just trying to chill out in there, and then have gone home and sketched that in the afternoon, evening. Literally took like 5-10 minutes, and it's a little reminder of what happened that day, along with a lovely learner and along with my haircut. So yeah, I would just encourage you to just sketch something, one thing from your day with a few notes around it, or a few words even. Start doing that. Just small, just start small, keep it small, keep it simple, and it will become such a lovely ritual in your life. Trust me, it's worth doing.